Are you going on a family vacation with your kids and the flight is over 8 hours and you're trying to figure out, how do I survive long haul flights with my kids? I got you. Let's talk. One of my number one tips that I start at number one on how to survive long haul flights is make sure that you are booking your flights when your kid would normally go to sleep. So for example, my kids' first long haul flights was 8 hours, and then they took a 10-hour one, and then we took a 12-hour one. The first time they traveled for a long time, which was they were flying for a long time, which was 8 hours, what I did was I made sure I booked the flight when they would typically go to sleep. This way, they are sleeping for the majority of the flight, and when they get to the destination, it's going to be daylight 9 times out of 10 hour or wake up time. So my tip is, when you are booking long haul flights for your kids, first thing first, you want to book the flight when they would typically be going to sleep. That way they are not having to be up the entire flight and they're sleeping for the majority of the flights. My number two tip that I would recommend for when you are surviving long haul flights, the actual flight, is your entertainment, right? Your entertainment that you're going to bring for your kids is going to be crucial. Now, I'm not just talking about their iPads or their devices. There's several other things that you can do. So for me, I have an entertainment pack that I have for my kids, which I'm actually going to link that and talk to you a little bit about it, right? And of course, my entertainment pack changes as they got older. So I have sensory toys in there. I have books in there. They have their iPads, of course. They have their phones. They have different activities that they can do while in flight so that they're not stuck on a screen for 8 hours, 10 hours, or 12 hours. And as I mentioned, I change up this entertainment bag all the time. So for example, when they were small, I started traveling with them when they're about 3 to 6 months. So when they were small, I had one entertainment bag, and then I had a variety of sensory toys in there, from fidget toys, from Play-Dohs, from squishy toys, all different things. Especially since I have a special need child, I have to make sure that they are entertained. Every 15 minutes, I rotate them toys, right? To make sure the flight is a smooth experience, not only for them, but for the people around them. My next tip for surviving long haul flights with your kids is snacks. Now, sometimes, of course, when you're going on a flight that's about 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, 9 times out of 10, they're going to give you a snack. They're going to give you a meal. However, you know, kids can be picky. So you want to make sure you're bringing snacks that they're going to eat and they're going to be comfortable with. So I would recommend bringing at least 3 to 4 different types of snack that your kids are going to eat, or different meals. And when I say meals, I mean like sandwiches, because you don't want to bring certain food into certain locations. So you want to also make sure that you're checking to see what food or what meal type you can bring into those certain locations. But when it comes to my kids, and I've been traveling with them for a while, I make sure I pack snacks that they're going to eat, like Ritz crackers. I brought pretzel sticks, different types of pretzels. Certain fruits, you just have to be careful of certain fruits that you're going to bring with you. But 9 times out of 10, you're able to bring apples, grapes. Again, be careful where you are traveling to know what fruits you can bring into that country, or make sure you eat the fruits in flight and disregard of it. And once you land into that country, then you're not bringing any fruits or vegetables with you. So you want to make sure you're mindful of that. But you want to bring snacks that they're going to eat and they're going to be comfortable with, because sometimes the meals that they provide on the plane, they're probably not going to eat it. And what you want to do is, most flights, they have the menu online. So you can go and check out the menu and kind of see what the meal option is going to be. And that's going to allow you to prepare for your kids. Next thing is, you want to dress comfortable. The last thing you want is to be uncomfortable on a long flight. And the last thing you want is your kids to be uncomfortable on a long flight. Because when them kids are uncomfortable, they get miserable. And they're miserable around you. And they're miserable for everybody else around them. And you do not want that. One of the things that I did not want as a parent traveling with her 3 kids is for my kids to disrupt somebody else's flight. And all the years, my kids are now, what, 8, 10, and 12? And all the years that I've traveled with my kids, especially my youngest one being special needs, I've never had a situation where they disrupted their flight or any flight, because I made sure that I was prepared. Now, yes, there are times that you can be 100% prepared and things happen. You know what? You just have to handle the situation accordingly. But you got to make sure you're dressing comfortable. When I say dress comfortable, make sure you have a light jacket with you. Because sometimes these planes can be super cold, and when you're super cold, you're going to get super uncomfortable. You also want to make sure that you are dressing your kids in clothes where it's going to be easy for them to go to the restroom in the plane. So, because the last thing you want is no accidents, you don't want no mishaps or anything of that nature. So you want to make sure you're dressing comfortable, and you want to make sure you're dressing in a manner that's not going to cause any disruption or delays when you're trying to go to the restroom on the plane. So next thing is, you want to make sure that you have certain things easy accessible to you in your carry-on. So for example, when we were traveling with our kids when they were younger, my daughter had this one stuffed animal that Honey Sugar, that girl, had to carry it everywhere she go, and I was sick of it. But we made sure that we had it in our carry-on so that she can get easily access to it. Also, a special blanket. Make sure they have easy access to that. Anything that's going to make the flight experience smooth, calm, and relaxing and comfortable for your child as well as the other passengers around you, you want to make sure you bring that. So whether that is a favorite stuffed animal, whether that's a favorite blanket, you want to make sure you have those things readily available for your kid to make sure it's a smooth flight experience. So the next thing is, you want to make sure you're planning this out. All right, you want to make sure you plan everything out to the T. You want to make sure that you are finding out as much information that you can from the airline and what they provide for that. So for example, I told you I have my last baby, she's special needs, right? So if your airline that you're traveling on has some kind of a services for kids who are with special needs, take advantage of that. Because, like, for example, prior to me finding this out, my daughter, my youngest, she has a problem waiting, right? So what we would used to do is the tiles that are on the floor on the airport, we would have her hop tiles, we would have her play I Spy, different things to keep her active, especially when we were waiting in line. That's before we had TSA pre-check and clear. But waiting was a problem for her. And it's not that she's being impatient, it's just that she just cannot. So those are some of the things that we implement. So if you need to implement different games where they're doing circles around you, or you're doing I Spy, whatever it is that you need to do, you want to make sure that you're planning ahead of time. And like I said, if the airline that you're flying on offers some kind of a services for special needs kids, or if you have a special needs kids, of course, you want to take advantage of that. If not, again, do what you need to do in order to make that flight experience a smooth and a very comfortable one for your child. Okay, so this one that I want to talk about is for your takeoff and your landing. Now, some kids, especially when they were younger, takeoff and the air pressure sometimes can bother their ears, which cause their ears to pop, and sometimes that can be super painful. So one of the things that I have done, I know this is some things that I'm talking about that I've done way back in the day, and I know they have some kind of updates to help ease those situations by now. But for me personally, when my babies were younger, I would try to have them stuck on a pacifier or something to kind of alleviate those ear popping things that would happen when they're flying, because I know that can be super painful. And especially if you're flying with your kids and they're sick or they're not feeling well, of course you want to try to avoid that whenever possible, but sometimes that's unavoidable. You want to make sure that you're traveling with those things that can help aid them. Like right now, my kids are old enough that I have them chewing a piece of gum for takeoff because sometimes their ears still pop. I also chew on a piece of gum. Just make sure you have something going on where your jaw is not going to pop as much, and then make it a game as well. If you get a chance to be in the window seat, make it a game. Have them take a look at it. Talk about what they're going to see. Make it an experience for them.